What's going on, everybody? It's the Football Fanatics here. We got a few new stuff, actually. We got a new banner, which says all our names. You got Ryan, you got Yamez Chason, you got Stanley B. Dilladoo, and you got Eric Wheeler. So we also got a few new mugs. Pretty cool. We got a few new pens. Pretty nice. We're going to be continuing our series here today with our, playoff predictions, our record predictions of each division. We're going to be doing the AFC South this time. Please leave a like and subscribe down below if you like what we're doing here. And I will be doing timestamps, so if you only like the Titans or if you only like the Texans, just go down in our description, look what time we have down there, and you can go right to that time and watch the video there. So we're going to start off here with the Titans, and I'm going to go to James first. How do you feel about the Titans this year?
You know, I feel like they have a solid team, but I don't think they're close to the playoffs, but I don't think they'll get it this year. I actually have them going 8-7-1. You know, I have that random tie. You know, every team there has to be one tie at least a year. So I have them actually tying against a division rival. We'll learn later. But they usually play against their division well. But, I mean, last year they had a tough schedule. I mean, they did have some great games as they beat up on my Packers pretty nice. Yeah. And they won a good game against Denver. But they still need to work at their DB spot. I mean, they did lose Jason McCourty. They did replace him with a Dory Jackson, but I see him more of as like a returner rather than a cornerback.
I see him as a special teams.
Yeah. He'll be a good returner, but yeah, I think their DBs are gonna cause them to not make the playoffs.
All right. Buck, how do you feel on them?
You know, I got them winning this division. I've got them going 10-6. You know, with a couple of close competitors there going 9-7, but we'll get to those teams after. But I think they've definitely improved since last year, which was a 9-7 record. And Marcus Mariota had the injury down the stretch, but even without him, the Titans beat the Texans in that last game last year. So I think with Marcus Mariota healthy through the whole year, and you know that game didn't mean much last year, the last game because the Texans has already clinched. I think if that was the situation this year with a healthy Marcus Mariota, I think the Titans will win that game. And I have them going 10-6. I think they've improved. They brought in what's his face from the Patriots, the corner, Logan Ryan. They had a good draft. So I think that, you know, obviously with Adoree Jackson and the wide receiver they got.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, Corey Davis, sorry. But I think they've got two very good additions. They also signed Eric Decker.
They did. Stanley, how do you feel on the Titans this year?
I have them going 10-6 winning the division. The division's not that good. I'm sorry, but I don't see really any other team stopping them. I feel like they're going to sweep through the division. I mean, the Houston Texans, we'll talk about them later, but their defense is going down. So the Titans can just roll through that. Marcus Mariota's come back off a leg injury. And I feel like they're going to have a blowout here. And then just go ham.
All right, so we have two winning the division right now and one who says they're going to have a tie. I also believe they're going to win the division. I'm not an actual Titans fan as I am a Chargers fan, but I love the Titans. I've loved Marcus Mariota since he came out of college, and I think this year they will be going 10-6. I love the additions of Eric Decker. I think he is a great wide receiver. When he was on the Broncos, even when he was on the Jets, he was a great wide receiver, and now he has a good quarterback who can get him the ball. He's a great addition for Corey Davis, I believe, because he can help teach Corey Davis the ropes. It gives Marcus Mariota a lot of people he can throw to. I mean, they also got Taylor Lewan, or what was it, Taylor?
I think, yeah, that sounds...
No, it was the wide receiver in the third round. I don't remember his name.
Oh, man, yeah.
I don't remember his name, but they got another wide receiver in the third round. It was Taylor. It was like TT, something like that.
Yeah.
But they got him. They got Corey Davis. They got Eric Decker. They got Delaney Walker. They got a bunch of targets that Marcus Mariota can throw to. This offense should be really good, and their defense, I think, should be able to help them enough to go to the 10-6.
And the thing with Eric Decker, by the way, there's no long-term contract there. You get him on a one-year deal, teach Corey Davis and some of their other younger guys too, so I think that's a great pickup as well.
If he stays healthy.
But I mean, even if he doesn't, I don't think that's going to affect them too much. They got some good wide receiver depth.
They do. They have really good wide receiver depth. I mean, that guy we were talking about before, they got him in the third. They got Corey Davis.
Yeah.
They have Rashad Matthews, who had a breakout year last year.
Everybody forgot about Tajay Sharp too.
Yeah.
Stand out.
I mean,
They
have
Rashard
really
Matthews.
Yeah,
well.
they have really good depth on this team.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on here, we'll go to the Colts. Buck, how do you feel on the Colts?
You know, I got them the weakest team in this division. I got them at 6-10. You know, I know they have an easy schedule, and that might be a little harsh on them. But I think with a lot of good good teams in this division, I think the Titans can sweep them. And heck, I think either the Texans or Jaguars could split with them. if not lose 2 games or even win 2 games. That's kind of the division where that could happen. They could win 2 games or lose 2 games to both of those teams. So I still have them at 6-10. I don't think their roster's strong enough. I think they could be 7-9 or 8-8, but I do have them losing some close games as they did last year to the Detroit Lions early on. They went out and got guys like Quincy Wilson and Malik Hooker, who are 2 very good options on the defense and 2 very good draft picks this year, but I don't think they're enough to put them up 2 more games or put them in the playoffs by any means.
So James, how do you feel on the Colts this year?
See, like I'm the exact opposite of Buck. I think they will win the division this year and go 10-6. I mean, you look when Andrew Luck first came in. I believe it was 3 years in a row they made the playoffs and winning that division with 10+ wins. And you look at them, their biggest problem last year was defense. I mean, really the 2 guys I can only think of that started for them were Vontae Davis, and he was hurt, and then Mike Adams. But so they look at that, and they address that in the draft. They grabbed Quincy Wilson out of Florida, good cover skills. I mean, can play man-to-man. And then Malik Hooker, ball hawk out of Ohio State. I mean, I feel like that'll really solidify their backs, Kevin. And they have a decent pass rush with Trent Cole, some veterans like that. And they also have the easy schedule, so I think they'll dominate.
Stanley, how do you feel?
I'm going 8-8. I just don't see them doing too good because, I mean, their defense is always a fault, and I always see Andrew Luck getting hit. Your QB's not supposed to get hit that much, and Andrew Luck, yes, he is a tank, but he can't take that much hits or else he's going to get hurt. And, I mean, their offense can't carry him, but Frank Gore can't run that much anymore. I think he's like 36 or something like that. So he's old. But, I mean, their offense is good. Their wide receivers are amazing. Andrew Luck's able to get the ball in there. And I always see that their issue is offensive line and defense. Because, I mean, their safeties are their cornerbacks are their rushing is But they're just of a team.
So to you, they're an average team.
Yeah,
Mediocre,
average.
They're average. All right, so we have 1 winning division and 2 say they're just kind of average, not above, but they're not bad. Me, I am going 9-7. I believe I love the Malik Hooker pick. I really wanted him to go to the Chargers, but he went to the Colts. He fell a little bit in the draft, but he is a great pick. He's a ball-hawking safety who just has a sense for the ball. I mean, some of the reads he made in college were insane. And I love the Quincy Wilson pick. I think that is another steal. I believe he's one of the best cover corners in this draft. So that's 2 just automatic upgrades to that defense. And I get that the Colts have probably I think it's the 22nd best O-line in the league by Pro Football Focus. So they don't have the best O-line, and you really need to protect Andrew Luck this year. I mean, after taking a few injuries, he's even been yelled at for running out of the pocket too much and taking hits he doesn't need to take. So I would have liked them to upgrade that O-line a little bit. They didn't. So that to me,
they do have young guys like Muhort and Kelly, though, right?
They
Jack
do.
Muhort, Ryan Kelly.
They do, but their O-line altogether is just like mediocre. I'd say at best. I love Ryan Kelly. Trust me, he's a great young O-line stud. But the rest of their line is just kind of decent.
Yeah.
And then Gore, he's aging, so I like the pick of Marlon Mack. I think he can learn perfectly well behind Frank Gore. So once Frank Gore finally leaves the game after he turns 55, it will be a great thing. It will be a great thing. I believe Marlon Mack in a few years will be a great back in this league. But to me, they're a 9-7 team fighting for a wild card spot. I don't know if they'll make the wild card off that, but that's how I feel on the Colts.
And just to add on to Malik Hooker, I think if anybody's going to be the guy in the first round, I feel like every single year in the first round we see somebody fall. Yeah. And I think he's going to be the guy that we're going to say, or maybe someone like a Jamal Adams or Mike Williams, but I think they're too early. Whereas Malik Hooker went past the 10th pick, and he's going to be the guy you're going to say, all these other teams passed on this guy in 2 to 3 years. You're going to say that, and I think he'll be the guy for that.
Yeah, I hate doing that, going back to look at those redrafts, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
My team passed on, my guy picked Larry English, and we could have had this guy. Well, next team we're going to go to is the Texans, and I'm going to start with Stanley this time. How do you feel on the Texans?
I have them 7-9. I think J.J. Watt's going to come back, and Clowney's going to get hurt again. It seems like they're never playing a game together. They're just going downhill. I mean, J.J. Watt is coming back off a back injury, which can re-injure itself because it's his back. He uses it a lot. But their offense, DeAndre Hopkins is gaining some weight. He's about to become Eddie Lacy at the wide receiver position. Sorry to say that, but looks like he's been eating some donuts recently. And their QB situation is, I don't even know. It's like
Savage versus Watson. Savage will probably start the year. And
yeah, it's.
I think I don't know. I think Watson has a pretty strong.
I think they want him to sit 1 year. I mean, you look what happened when they played Blake Bortles, the Jags. He had 9 touchdowns, 17 picks, and he's gone down from that.
I say no to that. I think that with a team, they're not the Chiefs. They're not developing this guy behind anybody. They don't have an Alex Smith who's not great, but they're also a team that's winning right now at their quarterback. They can sit Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith, whereas this team, Tom Savage is not the answer either. Where are you going to go with that? I think Deshaun Watson is the guy you start right now while you're in a win-now position.
I don't see that at all, because what if he gets hurt?
Then you put Tom Savage in at
No,
that
I'd
point.
rather have Savage have more. He has more experience to put him in the game and have
Deshaun
watch him
Watson's
pick
coming
up.
off a championship in college last year. This
Well,
guy's a
That's
winning
college.
attitude.
Tim Tebow.
Exactly.
Tim Tebow. Why haven't Tim Tebow?
But it's not really the same thing. I mean, Tim Tebow never went to the championship in
Well,
college, but
Vince Young, comparison, a guy who won a national championship and was forced into a starting role and never became anything.
well, talking about possibility of action, it's not if you think he should or should not. It's if he is going to or not. And there have been conflicting reports saying that Watson might start or Savage might start. There's been things of Bill O'Brien saying Watson looks 100 times above what they thought he was going to be by this point. There's been reports that saying they want Savage to start all year. From what I've heard mostly is that Savage will probably start the year, but that Watson will overtake him by at least week 4, people are saying. Because, yes, Savage is I'd say a decent quarterback in that system. I'm not saying he's a good quarterback at all, but he's decent in that system. But there's going to come a time when this team is going to be losing, and they're going to put in Watson.
Similar to the Chad Henne story a couple years ago with Blake Bortles coming in sooner than they wanted. But again, I still think Deshaun Watson's got to start day one, get this guy in early, start winning games early. I think he's better than Tom Savage. I mean, we haven't seen him in an NFL game yet, but from what I've heard in training camp, he goes perfect with that Bill O'Brien offense to me.
I mean, I agree with Buck. I believe that Watson should start day one. I've never been a fan of Tom Savage. I thought that he's a guy who basically tries to force feed it to their number one, DeAndre Hopkins, which, I mean, isn't a bad plan, but he's a guy who he's basically like that new player in Madden who doesn't know what to do, so he mashes A the entire time trying to get it to the one person.
Sometimes it lags. You gotta hit it.
Well, the thing again, I'm not saying, just for those people, I don't want to hear in the comments like them saying, oh, he's saying Deshaun Watson's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying that, but with what you have for options at quarterback, I think you start him right now over Tom Savage.
I see what happens in preseason, and then you make your decision. Put
I-
2-2, and see who does better in those first 2 games.
Yeah.
Because you can't just throw a rookie in there and expect him to do great. I
That'll be our question for this one. In the comments, say, would you rather, if you were in the Texan position, who would you rather start day one, Savage or Watson? That'll be our comment.
And just one other thing, I've never been a big fan of preseason QB battles because I know a couple of years ago, it seems like the same year, teams always go with the same philosophy. They always start the quarterback they started the previous year. A couple of years ago, I remember Kirk Cousins outplayed RG3 in the preseason, and they still started RG3 over Kirk Cousins. Obviously, to this day, Kirk Cousins panned out better than RG3, but at the time, they still put RG3 in over Kirk Cousins, even though Kirk Cousins outplayed him in that preseason.
I believe preseason, when they say that, I think it's just for teams that have 2 QBs that could start, and they're just saying that to throw off whoever they're going to verse week 1, because they don't want them preparing. Like, say the Redskins that year were going to verse Dallas week 1, and you have a QB controversy between Kirk Cousins and RG3. They have to now prepare for both because they don't know which one's going to start, and then that last week you say, all right, we're going to start RG3. Now they have only 1 week to prepare fully for RG3 when they were spending half their time preparing for Kirk Cousins. But I agree with you. When I see a QB controversy, usually you kind of know who's going to win it. You're never really surprised. I mean, even the year that Russell Wilson beat Matt Flynn, there was a lot of reports coming out that Russell Wilson is impressing everybody and Matt Flynn is floundering, and you knew Russell Wilson was going to end up coming out on top. So,
And one more bold thing I'm going to say. I think as of right now in the NFL, Deshaun Watson is better than Trubisky and Mahomes. I'm not saying that down the line. I think Mahomes and Trubisky will be 10 times better than Deshaun Watson down the road. But as of right now, if I was going to start any of them day one, I'd want Deshaun Watson starting this year day one.
Well, for what team?
their
Well,
respective teams.
yes, the team they're already in.
respective teams.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's
Bears
not-
are just going to be butthole anyway.
Well, yeah, it's like a tough comparison because
It is, but I see where you're coming from.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to get back to where we were. James, how do you feel on the Texans?
I think they'll be like the team of the future. Not right now. I think Tom Savage will start, and I think he'll do okay. maybe good enough to get a backup role somewhere else. I think I have them going 8-8.
Like a Casey Keenum kind of thing?
Yeah, something like a
Yeah.
traveling QB that'll stop
Yeah.
in places. In a couple years, once Watson fully develops, I think they'll be a great team because you surround him with Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Miller,
Yeah.
C.J. Fedorowicz, Ryan Griffin. The list goes on, and they have that great defense with Clowney, Merciless, and Watt. I mean, those three players alone can change a game by themselves. I mean, not this year, Texans fans, but the future looks bright.
All right. Buck, how do you feel on the Texans this year?
Even after all that debate, I still have them going only 9-7. Again, I think the Titans will win this division at 10-6. I have the Texans going 9-7, the same record as last year. Actually, yeah, they won 9-7 last year. So I do think they'll have the same record. I just don't see much improvement from last year to this year, especially since their quarterback issues there again. Brock Osweiler played well in that first game of the playoffs last year, but he's not there anymore. He's in Cleveland. And again, he didn't play great in New England. Their defense played great, but he didn't play great himself. And, that was a great trade. I think they were one of the winners for the offseason just for that matter. Just trading Brock Osweiler, getting his salary out of there. But they didn't do anything with that salary that shows me, hey, this team's going to be 10-6 or 11-5. They haven't shown me that yet. Again, an easy schedule, but I still think 9-7 is not. We've discussed this in other videos. 9-7 is not good enough to make the wild card nowadays. That's only good enough if you're in a weak division, and if you can, make 9-7 and win your division. That's the only way you're going to make it. To me, I don't think that's a wild card playoff team anymore. So, the Texans, I have them going 9-7 and not making the playoffs.
All right. So me, for the Texans, I have them going 7-9. Their O-line is very suspect this year. It played very well last year, but looking at Pro Football Focus, it's the 28th rated O-line, and with a quarterback like Tom Savage, you don't really want a bad O-line because he's going to be taking massive hits. He's going to have to make throws on his back foot, getting chased. I mean, it's not going to be good. I mean, I like their wide receivers. I think that Will Fuller is better than how he played down the stretch last year. He didn't play that well down the stretch, but I think those first few games of the year is how he actually is. I think it was just bad QB play that ended up kind of making his stats look bad. I love DeAndre Hopkins. I've loved him since he came out of Clemson. I think he's a great wide receiver. I think Brock Osweiler really hurt him last year, but I think he could bounce back if Tom Savage or Deshone Watson actually get him the targets that he needs. The defense, I love Clowney, Watt, and Merciless. I think that is an amazing combo if they can be on the field together. They have not proven yet that they can stay on the field together, so I need them to prove to me that they can do that. I like the defense, and that's why I put them at 7-9. That's why you're not down in like a 5-11 or type 6-10 type record. But I do believe that a 7-9, missing the playoffs, is where they are this year. They need a year or two. I think you're correct, James, with the future thing. They need a year or two to get back to the playoff. And our last
one last thing just for the Texans, and the quarterback thing makes a huge difference. A couple months ago, had they gotten Tony Romo, I would have put a healthy Tony Romo. I would have put this team at 11-5.
I
A healthy Tony Romo. I think
healthy Tony Romo.
If he stays healthy, maybe, but
I know his health is an issue, so we won't really debate that.
You can't judge if Romo would stay healthy, but say Romo did stay healthy through 16 games. That would definitely be an upgrade.
I'd say a 10-6.
I'd say a 10-6. If they had Romo, it would be a 10-6. But
if you could take the hits, because that O-line.
Well, that's what we're saying. He would be healthy through the entire year.
Well, he would be running off. He's not good running.
I still think a 10-6 is where they'd be.
I mean, it's not like their offensive line's terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
They have
It's
pieces.
They have pieces there, but it needs to get better.
Amazing.
That's one person.
No.
It's like, is 49ers offensive line good with Joe Staley? No.
You have a good point there. Anyhow.
All right, so going on, we're going to end off with the Jaguars, which I'm going to start with. I like the Jags. I hate where I have them in record, but it's where I believe they'll be. I believe they're going to be a 5-11 team. They have so much talent there, but it seems like every year they have so much talent there. I mean, last year we were saying the same thing. This team has so much talent.
Yep.
How could they not go 9-7? How can they not make playoffs? And what they do, they shit the bed. So, I mean, basically, I believe this team can go as far as Blake Bortles can take them. Exactly.
Not far.
Blake Bortles needs to play better for this team to make the playoffs or even to go 8-8. And I don't believe he is that. I believe what he showed last year is the type of quarterback he is. A quarterback who throws the ball into bad situations, makes bad reads, and overthrows a ball that should have been a good ball. It sucks because he has two really good wide receivers in Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson, which he's hurting, and Marquise Lee, who's coming on.
And Rashad Green as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has the wide receivers there. He has the good. He now has a good O-line. I believe if this year, if Bortles can't do it this year, if he can't push them to an 8-8, 9-7 record, they're gonna draft another QB.
They're gonna let him walk.
You have to. I mean, he has Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Marquise Lee, Sean Green, Leonard Fournette, and pretty decent O-line. A
Chris
decent
Ivory, T.J. Yeldon as well.
Yeah, a pretty good defense.
Yeah,
If he cannot propel this team to an 8-8, 9-7 record, I think they let him walk. I mean, I can't see in any coach's mind if this guy hurts your team again this year that you keep him. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm gonna go to Stanley. How do you feel?
I have them at 5-11. I mean, the wide receivers are good. They just last year they didn't really show much because Blake Bortles. I mean, they got the speed. That's all you really need is if you have speed, you can beat a team. If they just go down the field, if Blake Bortles got the chemistry down and made the throws, they would win. But they don't, and I mean, their running backs. You can put T.J. Yeldon out there as a slot wide receiver if you need him, because he's a fast man. I mean, he can go. Their defense is getting there. I mean, it's young. It's gonna be good, but as of now, I see them last division of 5-11 because I don't see them doing much because Blake Bortles is trash.
Yeah.
I'm going to Buck.
Okay, yeah. So Blake Bortles, to me, 2 years ago we saw this guy who was crazy good. He, I think he made the Pro Bowl that year. He did make the Pro Bowl that year. He was just very good. He had great weapons in both Allens, Robinson, and Hurns, and just a phenomenal season out of him. I think, we won't see that good, but I think we can see something pretty close to that, a contract year for him. And I think the Jaguars will end up screwing themselves in the very end. I think he'll have a good enough season this year, maybe like a Ryan Fitzpatrick season from 2 years ago, and he'll have a season like that, and they're going to pay him big time, like a huge contract to stay, because they'll think that I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Here's the catch: they'll be 9-7. They'll barely miss, just like I said, Ryan Fitzpatrick with the Jets 2 years ago, and they'll say, okay, here's your big contract, and that's where it all goes downhill after that. So again, I got the Jaguars going 9-7 and missing the playoffs. But again, they brought in Barry Church and they brought in AJ Bouye and some of the people they brought in last year as well.
Yeah, it's got DRC. They got
Yeah.
Net in the draft.
Yep, they got a lot of guys. So I did hear recently Malik Jackson said they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
No.
Now, as not true as that is, I like to hear that out of a guy like that. Confidence, and it pumps the whole team up like that. I know Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey, both rookies from last year, they're going to be having great years this year. Miles Jack, not so great last year, but I think he'll have a great sophomore season.
James.
So, when I look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, I see the same team every year. I still remember it was after the Seattle destroyed Denver in that Super Bowl, and they were able to sign Chris Clemens and Red Bryant away from that defense. And everybody was saying, oh, look at it, they have MJD, they have Mercedes Lewis, Chad Henne, who was good at the time. And they go 4-12, 3-13. And I think it's going to be more of the same. I'm going 6-9-1, and they will tie against the Titans. But, I mean, they have a good team with Jalen Ramsey, like you're saying, Barry Church, Malik Jackson, Telvin Smith, Miles Jack. The list goes on. Even offensively, they have a great trio of wide receivers in Marquise Lee, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns. But Blake Bortles, he's a horrible quarterback. I mean, he's a good fantasy quarterback because they're always down by 20 points, and then he'll get a couple touchdowns
He'll
with
have
5
three
minutes
touchdowns in garbage time.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a couple bold predictions. I believe that the Jags will let him walk, and they will get Sam Darnold.
That'd be amazing for them.
And I think that'll help propel them to a potential playoff team. And I think that Blake Bortles will end up taking his talents to Denver.
Really?
Yeah, I think that I don't think Paxton Lynch is much of anything.
Desperate.
And I think Simeon's good, but he's a backup. And I think that's where we'll end up.
All right. Well, those are pretty bold predictions. I agree with most of them actually. I don't know about Bortles going to Denver, but I do believe that if they got Sam Darnold, that could push the Jags to a playoff team.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have anything else on this division? Anything?
It's ass.
I don't think it'll be the worst division in the league, though.
No. Who do you
No.
think will be the worst division this year?
I think
Chargers, nah.
no. I think
That's
the
probably the
NFC
best.
West might be the worst because you
NFC
still have two rebuilding franchises with the Niners and Rams. I mean, I think the Cardinals would be decent. They could potentially be a team that goes 6-10 too, though, and even Seattle, with all that stuff going on in their locker room, you could see them have a down year at 8-8, 9-7 too. So. Yeah,
I
they
also
won't be
think the
worst.
AFC East, besides the Patriots, is pretty weak as well.
But,
The Patriots
I mean,
carry
This
the
is kind of a debate for another day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
a debate for another day. So we will save all this for another show some other time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us this time.
I also wanted to add, just for the fans, if you want anything else to be added on for videos we make, like fantasy videos or anything, just tell us. We're listening to you guys.
Yeah, please comment below any shows you want us to do, anything you want us to review. Say it's
As
like,
long as they're not outrageous. Like,
yeah. Don't make us go over Bryce Petty's like left toe.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that. But other than that, if you like what we're doing here, like and subscribe. Helps us out.
Hey.
And
comment. We love to hear what you think. We love
Yeah.
your
Even
feedback.
Eagles fans ranting.
yeah, we love all the comments we've been getting. We have like 15 on our first one.
Yeah.
We got
So
like a
keep
few
them
others on the
coming.
other ones. We love it. We love reading them. We'll comment back if you really want us to. Just leave whichever name you want to like. Say a question for me. Just leave my name down in the comment. And I'll
Or if you want
answer.
to roast someone,
Yeah, or if
just
you want to
roast
roast
them
one,
down
let's
below.
go right ahead. But thank you for watching.
give
And
a shout out to our camera guy as well.
yeah, I got Stevie.
Jibbo.